Hey there, it's finally Friday. From the KUOW newsroom, this is Seattle Now. I'm Patricia Murphy with a roundup of today's top stories. It's April 17th. Traffic collisions keep hurting too many people on Seattle streets, and city leaders are calling for an audit of a program to eliminate all traffic deaths called Vision Zero. Anna Boyko-Wyrock reports.
Right now, the numbers are very much not zero. Last year, traffic crashes killed 18 pedestrians in Seattle, and more than 200 others were seriously hurt while walking, driving, or on bikes. This fall, the city auditor will formally assess Seattle's Vision Zero program. Councilmember Rob Saka spurred that action.
This audit will better position our city to actually achieve our ambitious Vision Zero goals and save lives.
Advocates say they already know where the problem is.
We're still talking about the same streets.
Gordon Padelford leads the Seattle Streets Alliance advocacy group.
We're still talking about Rainier, Aurora, MLK, Lake City Way, 4th Avenue South.
But what's missing is the will to make big changes, he says. Instead, some advocates propose a rapid response program to immediately fix unsafe areas after a crash. Anna Boyko-Wyrock, KUOW News.
A new survey finds that patterns of illegal drug use in Washington state are shifting. Every 2 years, King County and the University of Washington survey people who use syringe services programs, often called needle exchanges. The latest survey finds the percentage of people who say they inject drugs has dropped sharply to about 44%. That number has dropped by more than half since 2021. That means fewer IV-related health risks like HIV or hepatitis C. Drug use by smoking, however, has increased to 93% among respondents. Fentanyl use declined slightly compared with the last survey, and overdose deaths have also declined for the last 2 years. Threats against federal judges have increased in the past 5 years. This fiscal year has seen 275 threats, according to the U.S. Marshals Service. Legal scholars and retired judges gathered at the University of Washington today, calling for stronger efforts to protect judges and build public trust. Benez Aldana heads the National Judicial College, an organization for judges. His group issued a statement praising Chief Justice John Roberts' defense of the courts last year, but several notable legal groups declined to sign on over fears of retaliation.
And I understand those concerns, but the reality is judicial independence and the rule of law are not self-executing. We can't simply talk about them or host a webinar and expect that to be enough. It requires courage.
Acting U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche has said the Justice Department is at war with judges who rule against the Trump administration. Aldana said criticism of judicial rulings is appropriate, but not rhetoric that undermines the courts. 8 Snohomish firefighters who sued their department over COVID vaccine mandates are now asking the Supreme Court to hear the case. The firefighters asked for religious exemptions, which the department said it couldn't accommodate. Those who refused to get the shot were placed on unpaid leave. They filed suit in 2022 asking for back pay. A district court sided with the department, and an appeals court upheld the ruling last fall. In a petition filed yesterday, the firefighters are asking the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn that ruling based on protected religious freedoms. Tacoma is going back to voters with a tax proposal to fix city streets and sidewalks after a similar measure failed last year. Northwest Public Broadcasting's Lauren Gallup reports.
Tacoma's interim public works director, Curtis Kingsolver, says last year's measure probably didn't pass because it would have cost voters more and it didn't have an end date.
It was too big. We were asking for too much.
This time, the city is asking voters for less and saying that the tax will sunset after 10 years. It would include a 1.5% gross earnings tax on utilities and a property tax of 20 cents per every $1,000 of assessed value. That's the same thing the city asked voters for in 2015 when they approved a levy that completed road projects on about 6,000 city blocks. If the levy passes, Kingsolver says the city wants to repair sidewalks, plant trees along roadways, and make arterials safer. Voters will decide on the measure in August. In Tacoma, I'm Lauren Gallup.
State funding for rural fire districts won't get the axe after all. State lawmakers restored $60 million to Washington's Department of Natural Resources for firefighting and restoring forest health. Lands Commissioner Dave Upthegrove says grant programs would have been severely reduced without the renewed funding.
We provide a lot of support to small rural fire districts, including volunteer districts. We provide surplus engines. We provide grants for equipment, grants for training, and those were slated to be reduced by 90%.
Another program that was facing cuts trains private parties to do prescribed burns on land to reduce fire danger. That program will be held in Spokane later this year. Northbound 405 between Renton and Bellevue will once again completely close this weekend. The northbound lanes between Sunset Boulevard and Coal Creek Parkway will close at 11:30 tonight. They'll reopen early Monday morning. Crews are continuing their work to add additional express toll lanes to the freeway. State officials expect long backups and heavy congestion throughout the 405 corridor. Time magazine has named Seattle Torrent and U.S. Olympic team captain Hillary Knight one of its 100 most influential people of 2026. The magazine described Knight as the greatest player in the history of women's hockey. Knight became the all-time U.S. Olympic goal scorer during the 2026 Winter Games. She has 2 gold medals and 3 silver. Speaking of influential Seattle athletes, Sue Bird and Megan Rapinoe say they've separated after 10 years together. They released a joint statement and also made the announcement today on their podcast, A Touch More.
We have shared so much of our life, so much of our relationship with you. So that's why we wanted to come on here and share this too.
The couple has said the split is amicable, but their podcast will be winding down, with Rapinoe and Bird alternating hosting duties for 6 more episodes. And finally, today, we're remembering Seattle TV producer and documentarian Jean Walkinshaw, who passed away this week at the age of 99. She's remembered for her significant contributions to local public television, but admitted in an interview that she initially dismissed TV.
When it first came into being, I was very disdainful of it and thought, oh my gosh, the written word is the only way we can learn.
Walkinshaw studied television production at the University of Washington. In 1965, she began producing the weekly interview show Face to Face on Seattle's King and then KCTS. She would go on to produce the series Faces of the City and more than 40 documentary features. She won 8 Northwest Regional Emmys and the Robert F. Kennedy Journalism Award. Next week on Seattle Now, Starbucks seems to be falling out of love with Seattle, and new CEO Brian Niccol might be trying to cut ties.
The sense in the company is that he would like folks just to think about coffee when they look at Starbucks, and maybe Seattle has some connotations that might not work for the brand.
Hear that Monday morning. That's all for today from the KUOW newsroom in Seattle. Our producer is Andy Hurst, and I'm Patricia Murphy. Seattle Now and KUOW are members of the NPR network. Have a great weekend.